Going to be talking to you guys today about my research into tax abuse in English men's professional football. Tell you a bit about what that means, why I think it needs to be studied, and how I'm planning to go about doing that. So when I talk about tax abuse, I'm basically defining that as any activity in which taxes are deliberately withheld from the state via illicit reduction of a tax liability to achieve a financial advantage. So I've highlighted the words deliberately and illicit there because they're important. I'm not really interested in accidental tax minimisation, so that's why deliberate is there. I'm not interested in a football club having errors in their tax returns, which means they pay less tax. I'm more interested in when deliberate decisions are made to minimise a tax liability in a way that is abusive. And illicit is important there as well, because I'm not just interested, again, in illegal abusive tax minimisation. So tax evasion is a criminal form of tax minimisation, whereas avoidance is sometimes illegal, sometimes legal, but I would argue always abusive. And then you have aggressive tax planning, which again is more dubiously abusive, but again is something that I'm including in my framework. So why study tax abuse in English men's professional football? Well, at the moment, and to my knowledge, there's been no empirical or criminological research of tax abuse in professional football, in English professional football, or in any other country. And that's despite it being a substantial contributor to the UK economy. You can see there from one of those bullet points that the employment of English Premier League footballers alone contributes over £1 billion to the UK economy per year in payroll taxes. And that's good. It's good that it generates a lot of money for the UK economy, but there are specific opportunities for tax abuse that exist within the professional football sector that don't exist in other areas. And for that reason, there is a risk that tax abuse can happen there. We don't really know how much tax abuse happens in this area, but I did recently make a Freedom of Information Act request to HMRC to try and get a bit more information on that. And as you can see here, from the past 3 years, HMRC's Football Compliance Project, which incidentally is a team that they set up to, a dedicated team to investigate tax non-compliance in professional football because they recognise it's a high-risk sector. They opened in the last 3 years 621 new cases against footballers, clubs or agents. Especially in terms of clubs, that's quite an astounding number when you consider in England alone, there are 92 professional clubs in the Football League, and that's 91 cases. And also over the past 3 years, they've recouped £150 million to their compliance activity in professional football alone. And I argue that most of that is probably going to be in English football because the amount of money involved is so much greater than in the other leagues in the UK. So these are the research questions that I hope to answer with my PhD research, but generally the idea is to figure out how tax abuse activities in professional football are organised, what are the processes that have to be followed to achieve tax abuse, and what are the factors and conditions that either facilitate that abuse or possibly restrain abuse from happening in specific contexts. And the idea is, once we've understood how it's organised, can we apply that understanding to improve the control and prevention of tax abuse in this context? So to do that, I am hoping to apply sort of 3 different methods of data collection. So the first is conceptualization, which basically means trying to think of all of the ways in which tax abuse might be perpetrated in professional football, and thinking about the fact, using the literature to think about what factors might facilitate or drive that abuse, and then combining the data collected from that with interviews with informed actors. So that's going to be from the compliance side, HMRC investigators, but also more from the tax practitioner side, so the football club accountants and possibly agents, and then combining that also with analysis of existing case files of tax abuse if I can get access from HMRC. I think I'm probably getting around close to time, so I will end there. I recently watched a presentation on how to give a presentation, which hopefully is obvious from what I just said, but he argued that it's not good to say thanks to the audience at the end of a presentation. So instead, I thought I won't get another opportunity to say this in an academic presentation. So it's coming home. That's all.